Are you scared of an eviction? Well, this video is definitely for you. Welcome back, everyone. So after my eviction nightmare video that was done in the style of 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm a big horror fan if you couldn't tell, went pretty viral, I had to do this follow-up video to tell you 3 big takeaways, the 3 biggest lessons as far as going through my first eviction. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to be going through a second one, so I'll have a little bit more wisdom and some experience this time around, and I want to help you guys, you young landlords, as well as the more experienced people that maybe have not gone through an eviction yet. This video, I hope, will help you, and you'll find it insightful. So with that being said, I want to tell you some big lessons that I took away, and these mistakes I will never, ever repeat, and I hope that you don't either. Number 1 on the list, first biggest lesson I'm going to say is don't rush. Meaning, let's say you just bought a property and that first mortgage payment is right around the corner. It's coming up. You want to cover that mortgage payment, so you want to get a tenant in there ASAP, right away, pronto. But don't rush, because it's worth it to wait just a little bit longer. If you have to front that first mortgage payment, so be it. You don't want to rush the process. Make sure you get as many leads as possible. If you're working with an agent, make sure you're working with someone that is experienced, maybe it's a bit more landlord friendly, and they have worked with investors in the past. Make sure you wait until you get all those applications in, so that way you could sit down and review all of them line item by line item. So don't rush that process, because what's going to happen is if you take someone on too soon, too quickly, unfortunately, it could cost you big time in the long run. Yes, you might be able to get that security deposit and that first month's rent up front, but unfortunately, you're going to end up losing money if they end up being a bad tenant, which I did have to deal with. This also means that if your property needs any repairs or just any light cosmetic touch-ups necessary to attract the best tenants possible, make sure you do that first and get that done, so that way when you start showing it, or your real estate agent starts showing the property, you can maybe attract some better tenants and people with your higher criteria. Maybe it means taking that lower rental amount than originally listed for just to get that ideal tenant. Remember, real estate is a long-term game. If you're in it for the long term, you will always win, unless you're doing quick flips. But I like to hold for the long term. I want all the benefits associated with that depreciation, that appreciation, that cash flow, the tax benefits, and of course, I do like number 5, which a lot of people don't talk about, and that's the fact that it keeps me on my grind, keeps me on my hustle, because once that money's out, I gotta make more money, and it keeps me broke. So I'm always on my toes, always hunting for that next dollar. And I like that 5th benefit. It probably is the best one out of all the other benefits that other real estate investors tend to talk about. Unfortunately, I didn't follow rule number 1, because I was just wanting to get someone in there as soon as possible right away to try to cover my mortgage payments. And that led me to accepting someone a little bit subpar, and probably I would never ever accept again for the rest of my life as a tenant. So that is a good segue into number 2. Lesson number 2 is going to be smashing that like button. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Just helps with me, expands the community, helps the YouTube algorithms. That way we can reach even more people and grow our community. So I'd appreciate if you could click that like button. Thank you so much. This is going to bring me to number 2, having that strict criteria, doing that due diligence, and do not bend, do not be flexible, stay by your criteria. Unfortunately, with these tenants, I accepted a pretty poor credit score. I did see the income coming in. I did see some proof of steady cash flow. It wasn't a normal W-2 job with tax returns, but I was able to see that they did have income coming in. But I fell short when it came to that credit score, and I could have been much more strict when it came to that credit score, and I should have not accepted such a low score. I learned there's a reason why that score is low. It tells a story, and the writing was on the wall, and I did not see it. So the fact is, folks, you have to be extra careful, really read between the lines, and make sure that you look at all applicants and get the absolute best out of the batch. Now, a credit score isn't always 1,000% accurate, right? There could be reasons why it could be lower than average. That's understandable. However, this one was pretty piss poor, and I do want to point the finger at myself for accepting it. Hindsight is 2020. Now, it is worth mentioning that the tenants were good in the beginning, and that's how it starts out for a lot of people with evictions, right? So they did start paying on time. Then the payments got a little bit late, but they paid those late fees, and then they got later and later. Ultimately, they just started piling up, and I had no choice but to proceed with legal action. So set your boundaries and criteria straight. You want to have those strict guidelines when it comes to credit, when it comes to income. Maybe you want to see a reference. Maybe you want to do a background check. Of course, do it within the confines of your law and make sure you don't break the law, but make sure that you have these parameters straight. And number 3, this is going to be for you folks that already have tenants. Maybe they're new tenants that you just brought in and they're renting your place. That's going to be don't cave in, and do not give them an inch. The problem is that you don't want to be too nice. You don't want to give them an inch because they will take a mile. That's just a fact. And it might sound cold, it might sound hard, but the fact is, folks, you cannot be flexible. You have to abide by what is written in that lease. That goes both ways, of course. So that ties back to number 2, making sure that you do have a nice, sturdy lease written. It's written up by an attorney, and every line item and priority that you want in that lease is there, and it is set in stone. I have seen some landlords maybe be a little bit easier on tenants in the beginning. Maybe if they are late 1 month, they waive that late fee for the first month, but if it happens again, then that late fee will apply. Of course, you're going to end up calling the shots. You're the landlord. I can't really speak on your behalf, and of course, follow your attorney's guidance, but you cannot cave in. You have to abide by what is written, and don't change it. The second potential eviction that I'm going through right now, tenant is asking if we could set up a payment plan, if we could try to be amendable on that lease, but I'm not renewing it and I cannot change the terms. It's there, that's what we agreed on, that's what we signed. I cannot go back. A good tip under number 3, this could be an entire conversation in and of itself, is going to be do not accept partial payments. The fact is the lease says that rent has to be paid in full on the first of the month. That means that you cannot accept a quarter here, half there. You have to accept it all in full on the first of the month. And that's what happened with the first eviction. Those partial payments started very quickly, but it wasn't grounds to evict because they were still paying on time. But the lease does say pay in full. And that's what's happening now with this second eviction that will be starting very soon, is that those partial payments have begun and I'm no longer getting full payments. So if that's not a canary in the coal mine, I don't know what is. That is definitely a bad omen. It might feel premature to initiate an eviction so quickly, but after learning my first experience for round 2, I'm initiating that eviction right away ASAP because I just know it's going to get worse and worse, and I have that gut feeling that it's not going to end up being a pretty situation. So the sooner you get that eviction initiated, especially in a very tenant-friendly state like New York, the better off you're going to be, and you're going to thank yourself in the future that you did start it much faster. And maybe if you are a newer landlord, maybe you want to just start with Section 8. Maybe you're very apprehensive, especially after this video. I hope I didn't scare you too much, but maybe you just want more guaranteed payments and you want a little bit more assurance. Well, you could start with Section 8, and that will hopefully guarantee some money on that first of the month. So that way you don't have to sit around and wait for it and start chasing your tenants and being a debt collector. Because the fact is, we're not running a debt route here, folks. We are simply landlords, and we don't want to have to start chasing down tenants to squeeze out a penny. I'm curious if you folks out there, maybe the more experienced landlords, could help us out, contribute to the community. Maybe you have some tips of your own. Let us know down below in the comment section. Maybe some interesting tips and tricks that maybe not most people would have thought of to start avoiding evictions and trying to keep that at bay. So let us know down below if you have any tips down in the comment section. I would love to hear your suggestions. If you do like the eviction content, if you like the real estate content, let me know down below in the comment section. We'll be sure to make some more. I got a kick out of the eviction video that I made a couple weeks ago. It got some traction. It went a little bit viral, not gonna lie, and I really appreciate your support, everyone that has jumped on now and everyone that's been with me since day one. I appreciate your support so much. More updates and news are to come, so stay tuned. If you did enjoy this video, share with a friend, get the word out, spread it on social media so that way they're in the know. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, smash a like button. I would appreciate that. And make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. That bell will notify you when we do post a brand new upload. If you want to get some free stocks, all on me, all free, use those links down below in the comment section. You sign up with Robinhood, you'll get some free stocks, some valued with thousands of dollars in some cases. So let us know what stocks you get. And with that being said, folks, until next time, I'll see you in the next one.